more people pray than we think they do. More people are faithful, or more people believe in God or rely on some sort of deity to inform their lives. My father-in-law specifically had spent his entire life as a very, very active, dedicated Catholic. He talked about faith as something that lifts societies and families and individuals. And I actually asked him if he was disappointed that his only son had not been Catholic. He was very, very honest. He said, of course, he would have wanted us to embrace the faith that had defined his life, but that he wasn't disappointed. And then he said, religion makes better people. A few years ago, I was in Iraq, and I had the opportunity to visit a refugee camp there for internally displaced people. Most of the people in this refugee camp, which numbered about 14,000 individuals, mostly women and children, were of the Yazidi faith. Many were living with multiple families in one tent. Of course, when you have that many people living together, sanitation is an issue, food is an issue. As I was walking across the camp one day, I saw some women who were baking bread in a tandoor. And I stopped and I asked one of the women if I could buy some of her bread. And what she said, which was translated for me, was, I don't sell my bread, but I am willing to share it. When you talk about hope for someone who has been repressed, it can't just include food and water and shelter. It has to include something that takes in who they are, a big part of what makes them whole, and often that is faith. Yazidi women wear long white dresses. The dresses go to the end of their wrists. They go down to the ground. When those women fled and arrived in the camp, they did not want to take those dresses off. They were religiously significant to them. When a Muslim surgeon who worked in the camp, and when a humanitarian organization that's run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints all heard about the plight of these women, they worked together. They purchased white fabric and made arrangements for these dresses to be made. And I was in the camp on the day those dresses were delivered, and it was a beautiful, beautiful symbol of hope as women were given something that makes them feel spiritually whole. I think that faith and hope can overcome almost anything, because when people feel faithful, when they feel hopeful, when there is something that burns inside of them that makes them stronger, it actually makes you able to go out and work through differences and to actually listen to other people. In one day, we met with refugees in multiple different situations. We saw organizations that targeted women and children who were refugees, who may be vulnerable in a regular refugee camp. And then we saw organizations that said, come here, charge your phones, get a meal. And there were people that were teaching cooking classes and were teaching driving classes. Each of us have this same opportunity that actually fills our societies with hope as we look for problems that exist and then ask ourselves, is there something I can do to address this? Is there something I can personally do to solve this? When you feel secure and happy and hopeful, then you're going to fight for a better tomorrow for yourself and your children and for society as a whole. There are good people everywhere, people who see problems and utilize the resources they have in their own life to solve problems. I had a most interesting conversation with a former federal judge, Thomas Griffiths, and he said that oftentimes the way faith groups are organized, it can actually give insight that strengthens society. Now, he was speaking specifically about Latter-day Saints. because Latter-day Saints are organized in geographic church units that we call wards. And people don't get to choose where they worship. They just go with others who live in that same geographic area. And we have an opportunity to worship with people of different races, of different economic backgrounds, and who may span a variety of ages. And in the process of worshiping together, you get to know people. You serve with them, and you learn that you're not so different, and you learn to love them. And that's exactly what happened in our family. I think one of the most meaningful things for me was when my father-in-law passed away. We called a Catholic priest to give him a blessing and ultimately to give him last rites. We loved him so deeply that we wanted to do the things that his faith tradition would dictate. We worked with Catholics in the community to plan his funeral, and they helped us step by step by step because we cared about an individual. And in the process, I think we all became friends. I'm hopeful that all of us might be able to listen a little more, to respect each other a little more, to care about one another a little more, and to ask questions that will help us know what we have in common. And the things that we have in common, I'm sure we will discover, are so much greater than our differences.